Hi, it's Jimmy Nguyen, founding president of Bitcoin Association. I want to thank Sasha for inviting me again to come speak to you at his great event. I'm really sorry I cannot be there in person because I had a great time visiting Irkutsk last year and meeting so many of you at this great conference. And even last summer, I got to do this, visit Lake Baikal with Sasha and so many of his great friends. So I am sending you well wishes from the United States and hoping I can visit the lake and Irkutsk another year. It's also fitting that I'm getting to speak to you from far away in the United States, all the way to Russia, because Bitcoin is meant to be a network that connects the world. And I'm here today to talk to you about how Bitcoin, in the form of Bitcoin SV, finally is scaling massively to be the world data ledger that connects data and money in one form. It's the fusion, which is so powerful, and the ability to connect the world with one major blockchain. So let's begin. I want to first explain, well, what really is Bitcoin? People think they understand it, but I want you to take a step back and understand that Bitcoin is the fusion of data and money. It's right there in the word, bit, data, plus coin, representing money. The Bitcoin network provides more than just a digital currency and blockchain. That's what a lot of us think about when we hear the word Bitcoin. Bitcoin is also a network protocol, just like the internet protocol. It's the foundational rule set for an entire data network. It provides the rules and the systems that allow users, whether they be individuals or businesses, to send transactions of data that can represent payments, money value, but also other forms of data, tokens, smart contracts, the ability to manage Internet of Things devices that combine it with the monetary value of the Bitcoin token. So it's very powerful when you understand it is a protocol to create a worldwide data network, more than just a digital asset. That's why it's so important to have a stable protocol. We talk about this a lot with Bitcoin SV. Bitcoin SV emerged from the hash war in November 2018 of the Bitcoin Cash Network to restore the original Bitcoin protocol released by Satoshi Nakamoto and commit to keeping it stable. The reason that's important is the same reason why Internet protocol has been stable for well over 20, 30 years. It allows businesses to comfortably build applications on top of the protocol, like we have on the internet. The internet grew because businesses were not dealing with constant changes to the foundational protocol and rule set. Because Bitcoin is designed to also be a data network, like internet protocol, we need to keep the protocol stable. That's what we've committed to with Bitcoin SV. In February of this year, we had our Genesis hard fork, which restored as much of the original Bitcoin design from Satoshi Nakamoto as we could. It restored it closely to Satoshi's client version 0.1, which was released at the very beginning of Bitcoin's life. Some of the early Satoshi opcodes, operating codes, removing certain limits that had been placed into the code by Bitcoin core developers over the years. What this means going forward is stable protocol. No more experimenting by protocol developers trying to tinker with, mess with the protocol, thinking they can make it better. It also means we don't have to deal with disputes, arguments between protocol developer groups who do not agree on changes to the rule set. We're seeing this again with the Bitcoin Cash BCH environment, with different beliefs about what should happen with the rule set, which is causing the threat of a split or another fork of the chain to create competing coins with the November hard fork on that network. This provides certainty in the Bitcoin SV world for big businesses to know they can build their applications on BSV without having to worry about significant changes to the protocol. That is critical for getting global big business adoption. What's also critical for major adoption is scaling, massive, massive scaling. BTC's network is still at an average of 3 to 7 transactions a second because of its very small block size. That's nowhere near the capacity to compete with the Visa network of 2,000 transactions a second and at peak 56,000 transactions a second. The Satoshi vision, which is what Bitcoin SV stands for, Satoshi Vision, is unbounded scaling. There should not be a limit in the protocol itself, in the code, for what blocks sizes should be. That should be up to market forces and economic incentives. Other blockchains are still struggling with scaling. The Ethereum network has been having this problem for a while. Last year, Vitalik Buterin acknowledged the Ethereum blockchain is almost full. Currently, just in the last few weeks, there's been big demand on the Ethereum network, leading transaction fees to hit an all-time high of $6 or $7 a transaction. That's far too much if you want to be doing large-scale, high-volume token transactions for businesses. Bitcoin SV is solving these problems every day, and we continue to since I last spoke with you last summer. We've seen just in May of this year, a couple of months ago, world record blocks again, even bigger, mined on Bitcoin SV, the largest ever mined on a public blockchain of over 300 megabytes in size, with over 1 million individual transactions within each block. The biggest block was almost 370 megabytes with 1.3 million individual transactions. So we're proving the Bitcoin network can in fact scale far bigger than people previously told you. We're seeing the results with the daily number of transactions on our network. The red line here shows Bitcoin SV. It's consistently higher than the two other main competing Bitcoin networks, yellow BTC, and at the very bottom, green is BCH. But this is just the beginning. We think Bitcoin SV can scale much, much more massively. This is a diagram which visually shows you the throughput comparison of different networks based on transactions per second. On the far right, BTC at 7 transactions per second, very small. Ethereum, 20. Bitcoin Cash, only 60. Ripple can do about 1,500 transactions per second, and Hyperledger, 2,700. Bitcoin SV is already surpassing that today, over 2,800 transactions per second comfortably on the main net. By next year, our team is confident they can achieve over 50,000 transactions per second on the Bitcoin SV network as we continue our technical improvements for scaling. That would exceed the Visa network. We have a scaling test network, which is demonstrating this on a daily basis, mining blocks that are having 2.7 to sometimes 6 million transactions within just one block, with theoretical throughput of well over 6,000 transactions per second. And as I mentioned, we think we can get to 50,000 transactions per second next year. The next phase is Teranode. It's creating an enterprise class software for Bitcoin SV. The early Satoshi client software was early alpha test code. It wasn't designed for big scale. Our team knows this, and they have taken the Bitcoin SV client software and broken it down to its key modules. Taking a microservices architecture approach, they're designing and optimizing each of those components to best serve big enterprise. Teranode is a project that our technical team will be rolling out over the next year or so, and we believe it will allow the Bitcoin SV network to achieve terabyte-sized blocks. That's 1 million megabytes in just one block, with 2.5 billion potential transactions in a block, and creating throughput capacity of, we believe, 4.2 million transactions per second being possible. This is how Bitcoin can scale to be the world data ledger that is used by all businesses to combine data with monetary value. Another benefit of this massive scale is keeping transaction fees very, very low, but more importantly, reliable, so that businesses have predictability when they plan how they use the blockchain. Unlike Ethereum, which is right now at $6 or $7 a transaction, the median transaction fee on Bitcoin SV recently, 1/100th of 1 US cent. Just 1/100th of 1 US cent. And we believe that's even still too high, and it needs to go even lower once the scaling gets even bigger. We believe that number will even drop more. This is allowing businesses to come up with creative business models that allow micropayments to be sent, meaning a very small amount of money, 1 US cent, 2 US cent, 5 US cents, What could you do if you could quickly and instantly anywhere in the world send such small amounts of money because the transaction fee is so small? Well, we're seeing many types of data transactions taking advantage of this in different industries, as you can see here, from healthcare to esports to big data to even augmented reality and VR. These cases are already coming onto Bitcoin SV. Let me give you a few examples. EHR Data is a US medical data company, which is using the Bitcoin SV blockchain to try and combat the problem of opioid addiction in the United States and around the world. This is when people get prescribed an opioid pain-killing medication, but then take too much and become addicted to it. This is a problem in the US, especially because of data silos. Separation of data, for example, of your doctor and hospital from where data is kept from your pharmacy where you fill the prescription. Doctors sometimes do not have real-time access to your complete medical history, so they may not know what's the most appropriate dosage for you as a particular patient, or whether you have just recently filled a prescription at a particular pharmacy. The solution EHR Data is proposing is to have that data on a universal global blockchain. Have an electronic healthcare record that is electronic for each patient, improve workflow between the different parts of the medical value chain, give patients the ability to control that health record of theirs on chain, and be able to even monetize it so that if you give someone access to your data, such as a research company, they can pay you in small amounts of Bitcoin SV or tokens. And by recording the data on chain, it allows doctors and pharmacies to more quickly and in real time ensure that they have an accurate picture of your medical history before prescribing opioids or filling a prescription. With 400,000 opioid prescriptions per day in the United States, this system could generate potentially 1.6 to 3.2 million individual BSV data transactions on the chain per day. They are developing a proof of concept and are going to test it in the United States in one state. And we're very excited to see that happen to show how data can have monetary value in the healthcare context. Unisat is another Bitcoin SV venture based out of Norway. It's designed a supply chain management solution which uses the Bitcoin SV blockchain to create more efficiency in tracking products as they travel across a supply chain. Its first platform is called Seafood Chain to allow the better tracking of fish and other forms of seafood. They're doing an in-market test already out in Norway with a series of companies in the value chain for halibut, a halibut farmer, as well as the seafood distributor that receives that halibut, and then a sushi restaurant chain that ultimately receives the fish and serves it to you as the customer. Their system allows efficient tracking of the halibut from each of these phases of the seafood chain on the blockchain. So it can be instantly recorded and people can actually view in real time the progress as well as the source of origin of the fish, which is important for environmental sustainability. Chronoverse is an esports company in the United States that's also using the Bitcoin SV blockchain in the world of gaming. It has a game called Crypto Fights. It's kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons battle game where you make an avatar and you roll dice and you fight someone else. It's using the Bitcoin SV blockchain to tokenize the in-game virtual items like a battle axe or a sword that players like to collect and buy and even trade. It was previously using Engine, which is a token system on Ethereum, but it decided to move to Bitcoin SV for this reason. Its CEO, Adam Kling, wrote that BSV is faster and cheaper to conduct trade, capable of handling millions of transactions without slowing down. Ethereum is at capacity, slow, can't scale, and expensive. It also means that they can use BSV to give players actual ownership of the in-game item because that ownership can be recorded as data on the Bitcoin SV blockchain, combining data with the value of the in-game item. Finally, what does this all mean for miners? So it's great that we have a blockchain that scales, that allows these major data usage. Well, it means that miners can stay profitable on BSV. We just experienced another block reward happening in May and April of this year in the different Bitcoin networks, where the fixed amount of the block reward was cut from 12.5 coins down to 6.25 coins. This will continue to happen approximately every 4 years. And the only way for miners to stay profitable long-term is to increase not the fixed subsidy amount, because they can't, that keeps getting cut in half, but the other portion of their miner revenue, the transaction fees. That's critical to ensure the economic model Satoshi Nakamoto laid out works. The fixed subsidy amount, as you can see in yellow, was big at the very beginning of Bitcoin's life, but it's gotten smaller and smaller every 4 years. And what has to get larger is the green area, the transaction fees, the fees for all of the individual transactions in a block. For that to happen, the blocks must get bigger and bigger and bigger, and there has to be huge volumes of transactions going into those blocks, just like we're preparing for on Bitcoin SV, just like all these data uses that I've just described, from healthcare to supply chain management and esports. Recording all that data on chain with value provides value to the businesses as well as to the miners. That's why we're seeing mining becoming increasingly diversified on Bitcoin SV. The number of different mining groups and pools continues to expand. Sigma Pool last year actually started mining BSV after I came to the conference, and so we're so glad to have them as part of this ecosystem. We expect more to join us as well. But it's all because people are recognizing the power of a massively scaled blockchain to provide the data ledger that combines money and data, value together, that really provides value to everyone in the ecosystem. To learn more, you can join us at our next big Bitcoin SV conference. It's on September 30th, October 1st, and 2nd. It's called CoinGeek, One World, One Chain. That's the vision we believe in, one major blockchain for the world. And that is how we achieve the value that Satoshi Nakamoto always envisioned, connecting the world with one world ledger that combines data and money. I wish I could be connecting with you in person, but for now, I'll be connecting to you here across the world. And I hope to be able to get this view one day in the future, in person connecting. But in the meantime, believing that we have such a great mission we can accomplish together. For those of you who want to join us in the Bitcoin SV ecosystem, we welcome you. And I hope that we can build the world ledger that connects the whole planet. Thank you very much.